Hello, it is Brittany and Seth with Coffee Kids and Crazy. And if you're watching, you can see that we have some guests with us. If you're not watching but listening, my parents are here with us.
Oh, no, the parents are here. The
Danny and Sherry still.
The parents.
Mimi and Papa.
Mimi and Papa, all, yes, they are. I don't know, do you love being Mimi and Papa more than Mom and Dad?
I will never, cannot confirm or deny.
Exactly.
Nice. That was a good
Our hearts
answer.
were expanded, let's just
Oh,
say.
right. There's room for all. That's funny. Well, they're here to help us talk about some fun stuff and just have good conversations around areas to help you all. But before that, of course, we have the memes that we have every time.
Always.
Always, always, always. Which I was laughing at this one because I was in a meeting and this felt like it was happening to me during the meeting, and I had to keep putting my hand over my mouth to say to my children to turn around and stop looking, but act like I was just, holding my face so that no one could see me doing this. This is what I was doing. But here's the meme.
I've had plenty of these where I'm
Coaching
parents, working with parents, and here comes the demonstration.
Yeah. Let me show you a live
do
action
when the 3-year-old
of what's
is
happening.
climbing on your head? Mm-hmm. They're like, ooh, how are you going to handle this? So here's what it is. It is, the bottom says, me in a Zoom meeting, and it's a lady.
It's Kristen
Bell, who plays Anna from Frozen. And there is behind her another lady, but it says...
She's like creeping in.
Photo bombing. It says, that's my 6-year-old. And then on top of Kristen Bell's head, messing up her hair, is a giant lizard. Iguana that is bigger than her head. And it says, my toddler. So it's mom in a Zoom meeting. Toddler is on her head, and the 6-year-old is in the background just watching everything that's going on on the screen.
Yes.
Totally feels like 2020.
Yeah. Well, which is what happened when I was in this meeting is, I'm in like the classroom area. So right behind me is Ben. I think he's helping a kid. Lincoln, Adeline, Delaney, and her friend Sarah. They're all doing schoolwork. But the best part for me wasn't any of the kids necessarily that were. Adeline every now and then would stop and just look at herself in the camera and be like, But
checking
it was Ben. He stands up and he's like bending over, so it's just his bottom consuming the other half of my screen, and I'm just now moving the camera like, what is happening? Why are you doing this? Like,
and that boy's got a bottom.
He's got a bottom. But I was talking to one of the people that were on the call later, and they're like, yeah, we saw Ben. I'm like, yep, I bet you did, because he was.
That reminds me of another meme.
Okay, of course.
It's the mom fresh out of the shower trying to do her hair. It's a cartoon. So fresh out of the shower trying to do her hair, and the kid is walking up with the computer. Mom, how do I end my Zoom call? Like, oh, you are going to show your mom to your whole class. I actually had a teacher. He said we had to in their school district, they had to eliminate the video because parents would walk by in their underwear and stuff. It was like, oh, you have 30 kids on the call just watching mom or dad walk by half naked.
I've done that.
I've seen a few really bad
ones.
I
know. There was when Zoom first came out, it was like that one where it was some kind of conference meeting for work, and this lady takes her laptop in with her, walking around, and I think she thought she
was on mute and
her camera
no
was
camera.
off.
Yeah.
She sets her laptop down, and she proceeds to sit on the toilet and go to the bathroom. And go to the bathroom. And everyone is like
30
this is worse than if you're the preacher.
And then all of a sudden, you see her like flipping out and just close it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was bad. I felt so bad for her. I'm like, yeah. Did you quit after that? That's what I wonder. Did you quit after that incident?
You either lost your job or...
Yeah. That was rough.
My goodness.
So for everyone that's living through Zoom calls right now, we have lots of empathy.
We salute you.
Yes. We're with you. We're with you to the end. Oh, man. Well, I think we're going to ask some questions to my parents. And we might change it up a little bit, get some adult children questions in there.
Yeah.
And go from there. But I'll ask the first question. And it is, how big of a role does connection play in us being successful parents?
Is there a number higher than 100%?
200? I don't know. Yes.
I can't. overemphasize it. It's the difference between love and fear. You know, it's the difference between light and dark.
Mm-hmm.
So the weakness of your connection is like a dimmer switch, and you're just turning it down until, you know, we have roles. We have mom, we have dad, we have husband, we have wife, but we're not experiencing the benefit of them. And it's moving from away from benefit into liability, because those are powerful people in our setting as children. So when those people lose their sense of purpose and then they function detrimentally, the consistency of that is culture. You're creating culture in your family by turning the dimmer down and forcing your children to learn to see in the dark.
Wow.
You know, training your children to read in the dark, training your children to function in the dark because you refused to turn the light up. And that's culture. I mean, a lot of kids grow up in the dark, and it's scary. And I don't know, you know, I don't know how to overemphasize the personal responsibility for parents to be good at their job as husband and wife.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that get married and it's not exactly what they thought, and they're struggling and they don't know what to do, and they know they're doing it wrong and affecting their kids. And for me, even watching us, you know, we've been married 36 years, and we still have to work on our connection. It doesn't end. So you know, the fact that just because you're in an adult body that you stop learning or growing is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So you have to assess where you're at, have the goal. You know, we talked about goals before, but you have to have the goal of connection. Otherwise, you're going to create something else. And it's not always easy. It's hard. But the benefit of it is generational. Mm-hmm. The benefits just keep rolling along. And to be able to figure out how to get some tools, how do you get some resources, how do I talk when I'm angry? You know, I raised you, so you're fully aware of this, but anger was a big deal for me when I was
there too.
Yes, when I'm talking.
She's talking. She says.
I mean, I used anger as one of my only tools in relationship, because that's what I used as a child to keep myself safe. That's how I interacted. So having to come out of that, you know, someday I'll talk about that whole story, but it's come out of that and do something different was really hard, because it worked when I was younger. And 6 brothers, you know, we've talked about that. But we're talking about the priority of connection between husband and wife, but it's also between a parent and a child. So you get disconnected and you want the child to clean up the mess because maybe they're the ones that caused the mess. But often the parent causes the mess and never cleans it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just think, well, you made me mad.
Yeah.
You know, you did this to me.
Yeah.
Your behavior was wrong. And so I'm justified in keeping you in this box. And so I don't know how many times I had to go and clean up my mess of I scared everybody with my anger. And it's just practice, and then getting another goal and creating that culture of it's okay to make a mess around here and clean it up. That's the norm. The norm is we're disconnected, the kids are being affected, we're going to go to work, we're going to go in our room and shut the door and figure it out. And because you can give up. You can say, we're going to just live in the house as if we're married and happy, and they won't know. That is a lie you're believing, and you're affecting your whole family.
Yeah.
For generations.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole anger thing, cleaning up the mess. I remember, Danny, you and I were talking on a video years ago, and I talked about apologizing to my kids, and you were like, wait, you're telling us you apologize? I'm like, absolutely, because how else am I going to show them how to clean up messes, and that it is
Yeah.
okay, and that I can forgive myself and move on and rebuild with you. But that anger thing too, I know I've paid attention to that a whole lot, especially lately, where it's like, if I do that thing, you made me so angry. It's basically saying to the child, I just put you in control of the whole entire house. You are now in control. And one of the things I've seen is a kid, it's more scary to be in control of the entire home than to have an angry parent. The angry parent's really a scary thing. Like, my parents are really angry. I'm scared. I think it's even more scary for a child to go, you just put me in control of my entire family and how this our atmosphere and environment goes, and it causes so much anxiety in children because they're now the leaders of the home that they're not supposed to be the leaders of.
Right, exactly.
And cleaning up messes has been huge for me and our family.
It's
as
never
parents.
fun, that's for sure.
No.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things that parents struggle with is, if I clean up a mess, does that mean I'm admitting that I don't know what I'm doing? Which I'm like, yes, there's an element to that is very true. And it's like this concept that we can't not know what to do. I'm like, how many times have you parented? I remember in the season with Delaney, we just kept saying, you're the first time kid. Like, we've never parented past this point. This is it. This is as far as we've ever gotten, and you're 13. We've never parented a 13-year-old. We're doing what we can, And she's like frustrated at us. I was like, this is all I got. I am literally doing all that I can, and I can't say that to Adeline now because I'm like, I've actually already done this.
We've been here before.
This is a great point because your life journey and your parenting experience parallels. So wherever you're at in your life is where you're at as a parent, which should be a wake-up call to, I want to grow as a person so that my skills as a parent. So you can feel terrible and shame yourself for your past or where you came from, but really if you just take an assessment and go, dang, I'm not where I want to be. Mm-hmm. And because I'm not where I want to be, my parenting is not where I want it to be either. And just grow yourself.
Yeah.
Grow yourself.
Well, and I think for Ben and I, it was, okay, we don't have the answer. Where are we going to go? How are we going to find wisdom if someone that does have an answer? Okay, where do we see in front of us that somebody that's done this like what we hope that we'll do it in our heart, And I think that was the big thing, is finding, where is there a resource that is encouraging and has been successful, instead of just like, finding anyone that's had a 13-year-old before, and if it didn't go well, like I don't want to go and say what not to do. I really want to go what to do. Mm-hmm. That's more of what I'm looking for in that question. But
So it seems our next question was practical advice on connecting, but like not using anger, cleaning up our messes, asking forgiveness, protects connection, rebuilds damaged connection. Is there anything else you would say practically we can do to growing, learning new skills, developing as a person to be better at connecting with people? Was there something you could just say, here's another piece of advice that will help you connect?
Yeah.
I think learning to build rapport, the skill of listening well, and pulling from the conversation or the interaction, really who is sitting in front of me, because it's not me. It's a very different person. They need different things than I do. So finding out what it is that they need, or growing, like Sherry's talking about, your own self-awareness of what people need and what you uniquely need, and then affording that to other people. Like, you know what, you're going to need certain things that I do not need, and I have got to learn how to value that so that you feel valued. Because once I open up your value, you can step into a relationship safely. But as long as I am constantly criticizing or challenging the differences between you and I and estimating myself higher than I should, then you don't feel safe showing up. You actually start trying to imitate me to me, because that's the only way to be safe. And a lot of children find themselves hiding themselves from critical parents because I'm not you, and the only thing you do value is you. So my older sister's a lot like you, so you really empower and respect and encourage and connect with my older sister, but I am on the other end of the scale of opportunities and options, and I'm nothing like you. So we are in a constant disconnect just because we don't know how to meet each other's needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that helped us when we started getting preteens and teens, but also I see you doing it in your life, Seth. I'm sure you do it too, and that is you're having your children have other adults in their life besides you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you create this community where they can see, they could connect with another adult that is just loving and just a source of encouragement in their life, so that you as a parent completely trust this other group of people to speak into your child's life. So you're having a hard time, but they're there for you too, not just for your support, but actually can speak into your child's life. We had young adults that weren't us, that we could say we're struggling, and they could come in and have a coffee or pick them up, or I
never knew what your agenda was until now being a parent.
Yeah, but there's this building of an army to help you when you're feeling alone and disconnected.
We've totally done that. Like, I have friends that are like, hey, because I was children's pastor for a lot of these kids that my friends now, they're older, and they're like, hey, Seth, can you step in and kind of be an adult in their life and a pastor in their life? I'm like, yeah, just know I'm calling on you too. When I need you, I'm gonna need you to come in here and help with some of this. I love that. And that kind of, I think that you're talking about teenagers, and a lot of this really starts to play out more obvious the older the kids get. Like, oh, you are not me. Oh, you are a different person. Oh, I have to adjust and grow and change. And I think we wanted to go the direction too of adult children. And when they're fully grown and they're fully different and they're around
or have their own children
or have their own
live
children
in the same house
like you guys, tips for connecting with them, especially if they're like totally, the adults that you have in your life, the people that are older in your life are not necessarily people we've surrounded you with or brought you into, and you are really thinking completely different. How do we protect the connection there or attempt to keep it with the older kids?
It's complex, having adult children actually puts on display that you do not control other human beings. And unfortunately, a lot of parents, that's when they discover it. Late teens and adults is when they discover, oh my gosh, I cannot force this child to value what I value, to pursue what I have taught them to pursue, to protect all the investment that I've made, to get them to reflect me back to me. I can't, oh my gosh. And as a matter of fact, this child has elected to stay away from me. Like, wow, that's one of your options too. So the idea that you have a connection that is been being built their whole life through that realization that I don't control you. And if you choose to turn off our relationship on your side, it goes off. I don't get to stop it. So that, I think, is the big deal going into having a relationship with your adult children is yeah, there'll be disconnects, and yeah, there'll be disagreements, and there'll be, they married such and so who doesn't like Susan so, and you're like, whatever, you're just like, so you have all these things to, I wouldn't have picked that one. You picked that one, and now look what they're doing to our family. Look at all the trouble they're causing. Look at what they value. Look at who they are. How could you have done that? And now it doesn't matter. It's now part of the family. And so they need that skill that you've groomed to connect, to serve, to listen, to understand. And you're going to have to apply it to the one that your adult child chose. And then they're going to have children that you want to be able to connect to. And if you don't work this out, then you get excluded because it's one of their options.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are living in that pain where they have disconnected from their adult child because they thought, if I just keep talking to you, my perspective is going to make sense to you. And you're going to go, oh my gosh, thank you, parent, so much for teaching me right now. And about 90% of the time, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, the more you talk about your disagreement, the deeper the disagreement becomes. And then we actually think that's our connection. It's like, no, we're not connecting over issues. We're connecting over love. And my unconditional love for you, that will stay on. We may never agree about this, but that we may never agree about that. That's not what it's based on. It's based on our unconditional love. So often as you can, you get back to this, and this is what we agree on.
Yeah.
I remember in Loving Our Kids on Purpose, that was felt to me like that's the main point. The lie is you can control other people, and that you're supposed to control other people as a parent. Like that's what parents sometimes
Would you
think.
control this child?
Yeah. What you get your kids under control. And it sounds like the other one that you're pointing out is love and agreements. A lot of people think the definition of love is that we agree about everything, and we can't love unless we agree. So hearing that, like, oh, you're just reminding us of some of the most important stuff. Like, you're not in control of anyone else but you, and you can disagree and love at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the culture you're building when they're young is played out when they're older. So if you're creating a culture where, Brittany's our oldest, and she's, I always say Brittany came out kind of telling me what's up, but creating a culture where she can come to me as adults and say, hey, that thing you're doing is hurting me, or, this is the effect of what's happening, and valuing like, okay, I don't want you to feel like that, so I will adjust as adults. And so whatever you create back here, you'll play out up here. And even when you have disconnected adults, they still have the value of, I still want to value you, I still want to connect with you, even though we don't agree about something. I remember I think I was about 30, and I was visiting my mom, and we were going to cross the street. And as we stepped off the curb, my mom's 5'2", probably not even. She probably lied about the last inch or so, how tall she was. But she reached out to grab my hand, to hold my hand as we crossed the street. And by then, of course, I'd been married, have 3 kids. And I thought, you just don't ever stop being a parent.
Yeah.
You don't stop caring so much about this person and what they're doing and the choices that they're making. And you don't always have the answer, but a lot of times parents choose the route of, I so disagree with your values or what you're doing or the things you're playing out in your life. I so disagree that my route that I'm going to take is I'm going to pull away from you to show you that you're so opposite of my core values. And then they create this big divide, and you get years down the road and you're wondering, why did we do that? You know, why didn't we choose connection and love over the issue or the behavior, just like we had to do when they were little? But it's just like, stay connected. I mean, isn't that what Jesus really does for us? I mean, we can walk away from him and do our own life and do all, you know, make horrible choices and cause chaos. But if we turn around, he's right there. He didn't go anywhere. And we get to reconnect with him immediately. So I think that's the example of, as a parent, and no matter what's going on in your child's life, if you have the heart for connection, that's your goal, then whatever's happening, the behavior, when it's over, you're right there.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, I actually said that exact thing on a different podcast that we did, just talking about, you know, I think it was punishment and discipline, just that how the father is, you're making horrible decisions, but I'm right here whenever you're ready to turn back around. And, you know, I know that's what, you know, I'm trying to do, what Ben's trying to do. I'm sure that's what you're trying to do, is like, you're scaring me to death and I'm trying not to control you, which is very hard, because I think if you just did it this way, it would be so much easier. Please just let me
know
help
if
you.
you need any help.
I know.
I'm here.
So it's so hard to just step back and, but I think the positioning yourself for connection over and over and again is really what I'm hearing will help make you a successful parent, whether it's with a 2-year-old or with a 22-year-old or a 42-year-old or however old they may be. But do you guys have any testimonies for us of, you know, whether connection was challenged and, you know, connection won, and at any point of any of us kids, or a story that you love that to share? I don't know if it, but do you have anything like that you could encourage our listeners with before we go?
Well, I'd just like to encourage everybody that that parenting, you figure it out as you go along, but the new challenges are the greatest challenges you've ever faced up until that point. You know, so when you take a baby home and it keeps you up all night, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, you know, and then they walk and they break, you know, they pulled over and they touch the stove or they whatever. You're like, oh my gosh. And then they go to school and, you know, they
For the first time.
homework. You're like, oh my gosh. And then they learn to drive. You're like, oh my gosh. And then they're out picking a
Spouse.
You're like, oh my gosh. You know, the problems change. You have to stay with them. I would say that the biggest challenge I've ever experienced was with an adult child. You know, I mean, I realize, you know, you introduced some stuff to our lives when you were 16. You decided to not call in and you know, tortured your mom. But I think, you know, I had a challenge with my oldest son when he was in his mid to later 20s. You know, he was really coming at me with some, you know, like, what is happening to our relationship? Why is there no point of connection here? What is the struggle? And it deteriorated over, I'd say 2 or 3 years. It just felt like it was just, and it was like heartbreakingly disconnected, and it was just rooted into, this isn't going to get any better. And then he joined the Army. In his later 20s, he joined the Army, and it was like he experienced a personal revival of personal responsibility. And all of a sudden, you know, we were able to have but I just had to keep my love on while he was stabbing me in the chest, you know, and so when he was ready, I was there to re-engage. I wasn't resentful. I wasn't like, you know, okay, well, now you're going to have to pay me back for all that pain, and you're going to have to crawl through broken glass. And, you know, I think, and even today now, our relationship is great, and I feel like I'm able to, you know, give some input, but at the same time step back and watch him be a man, you know, in his steps that he's taking. But I think, you know, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because I didn't turn my love off. I just didn't turn my love off. So I don't know what you're going to do with all that's going on over there, and I don't control it. I feel like that is probably the scariest thing I've been through so far, was that I thought one of my adult children were just going to can me.
That was rough. I think having adult children that believe completely different things than you raise them to believe, and they're they have completely different views than you as an adult and them as an adult, but still being able to say, hey, I don't mind a conversation. Like, I'm okay with a conversation, but I'm not okay with feeling like you're being very disrespectful and you're talking down to me, just like a child hates when they're, especially what happens with adult children is they walk into the room with their parent and they become a 12-year-old child again, and so the parent has to go, okay, this is an adult person that's growing and changing and on their own journey, and I love them so much as a parent. I love you so much. Nobody loves you like I love you, and I didn't lose that. And we disagree like never before. And so what are we going to do about it? So creating that dialogue that says, hey, I'm feeling like you're being disrespectful. I want to talk to you, but you're hurting me. I don't think you're, and text is the thing, right? So I'm going to have this big, heavy conversation through a text message.
That's good.
And so I would say, don't do that. Don't talk through disagreement through text. Conversation's one thing, but being able to have the language and mutual respect to say, hey, you're hurting me right now. And then adjust, just like the adult child goes, you're hurting me. And I'm like, oh, that is not my goal.
I mean, we've practiced this with little ones.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk about this. Let's talk when your voice sounds like mine.
Yeah.
I want to talk. I want to work through it. But we need respect. We need to not go at each other like this. Let's talk when your voice is like this. But it's like you practice that as a little kid. When they're little kids, and then when they're old, it's the same kind of thing. Hey, let's not talk over text. Let's see each other's face. Let's hear each other's voice. Let's not try to read.
Look at my eyes.
Look at my eyes.
And we think that we're practicing, and the next week at school is game day, when actually game day is about 20 years from now. And you are... they have all that choice. They have all that freedom. And do they choose to invite you into their life? That's game day. Yeah. You're practicing at home right now for game day. And it's not
for wimps. Parenting is not for wimps.
It's hard to imagine. It's hard to kind of keep that in mind. But you're moving your values through generations. To build momentum as an inheritance and legacy. That's a different mindset than I'm trying to get through the day.
Trying to survive.
But sometimes we eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. That kind of leads to a culture. It leads to a culture. And that's that orphaned survivalist mentality. And so raising your vision to, Father, what do you want me to do? And how do I act like you right now, no matter what this toddler says about me?
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man. All right. Well, Seth, we have some more practice. We're still in practice.
I know.
Lots of practice still for us.
I'm practicing now because I know the adults are coming. They are growing, and I want to be ready.
I feel like I have an adult because she's just a woman walking around.
Yeah.
I mean,
my
that's...
10-year-old is wanting to be,
yeah.
Dad, I'm almost a teenager. Kind. Dad, I'm already more than halfway to leaving your house. I know.
Thanks for reminding me.
I mean, Delaney had her birthday, and I was like, in 3 years' time, if this was me, you'd be married.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't even see it with her.
Scary, but...
Do you have grace for your parents
I do. I feel like I continually have grace for my parents as I face my teenager, but It's good. Good conversations.
Mhm.
I hope all the parents out there, whether you've got young ones or adult ones, that
Yeah.
you know you're able to remember that the connection piece. And just I think there's just so much to you could do wrong, but there's I think one of the biggest things you could do right is keep holding on to connection. That's really what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing. So
Hold on to it.
hold on to it.
Protect it.
Awesome.
Fight for it.
Amen. Okay.
Amen.
Mm.
Yep.
Amen. Go do that. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. Thanks for coming in, parents of mine.
Mhm.
And
Thanks for inviting us
yeah.
in.
I'll see you at dinner.
I'll see you at dinner.
Yeah. Me too. I'll see you at dinner.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you later.
Bye.